Hello, everyone. My name is Rochelle Innocent, and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space for all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday. We just dropped a thought piece this past Sunday, so be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you're looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available wherever podcasts are playing, and we've provided you with access to a few links down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Allô les meufs et les mecs. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. Today's topic of discussion is education. On the topic of education this week, I want to talk about how we reframe self-concept as we think about our year in review. So I talked a little bit last week about building an after-action review, so taking the time in October to celebrate yourself, and I wanted to extend that conversation and talk about reframing self-concept. So this is a great time when we're thinking about the experiences and the opportunities and the areas of growth that we've experienced. We also want to give ourselves the opportunity to see to what extent have we ourselves changed and evolved, because a lot of the times we hold those around us accountable for being cognizant of the changes that are happening with us and recognizing our growth, but sometimes our growth can fall beneath the radar for even ourselves. So I'd like to take an opportunity in October as well to reconstruct my self-concept, like very explicitly, and to give myself an opportunity to see to what extent have I grown and evolved from my sense of self-concept the year prior. And because I do this every year, I do see the growth and evolution. I do see the pivots and the changes based on how my interactions with the people, places, and situations around me have influenced me and influenced my perspective and my belief system, the way that I feel inclined to navigate in the world around me. And so I want to have the conversation around self-concept, because a lot of the times we are dealing with the effects of the experiences that we've had, but we haven't given ourselves the opportunity to extract from the effect, extract from that emotionality, the value that is experience and the value that is acumen and an understanding of the way the world works, right? Because it's our experience that builds into the knowledge base of like how this world works, and our sense of how the world works is going to be different for each and every one of us, dependent on what our life journey brings our way. But I think it's important to keep that top of mind mind, because it allows us to be cognizant and be aware of how we're shifting and changing, and also to be in the driver's seat of how those shifts and changes translate, so that we're always changing for the better and not for the worse. I've always been of the mindset when you know better, you can do better, and I think that this is just so true by way of how much energy we give, how much energy we hold back on, where we put our energy, to whom, to what, so on and so forth. So I like to really reframe self-concept in that light. So when I think about self-concept, I think about to what extent have my beliefs been informed differently by the people, places, and situations that I've encountered this year. So I think about the people that I've interacted with, that I've met, that I formed a semblance of community with, and I think to myself, well, has this made me think better of people? Has it made me think worse of people? And how do I want to show up now with this new sense of understanding of how people are, how people can be? And so to give you a little bit of periphery into my own reflection on it, I have always been someone who treats people in alignment with their potential. So in alignment with how I see them becoming and who I see them becoming. Like I see a lot when I meet people. Like I see, I think oftentimes more than what they see within themselves. And so I hold everyone to a really high standard because I see who they can become. But I've learned that a lot of people aren't as invested in their growth and in their journey and in unearthing their potential as I originally assumed, right? And so because of that, I've realized I need to meet people where they're at. It doesn't matter like the potential that I see. It doesn't matter all of the gifts, all of the strengths, all of the qualities that I see if they don't see that themselves. So if I see that lack of awareness, then I'm very happy to adjust my behavior and my interactions to meet them where they're at, because I find that a lot of the people who I've held to really high standards, they just kind of gawk at that. They kind of feel pressured, they feel intimidated. It makes them feel triggered to be held to a high standard. And everyone has their own reasons for why that takes place. But I think to be responsive to that, to be respectful, recognizing that some people just aren't ready to see themselves for the potential that they have. They want to see themselves for where they are at right now. It's a little bit of a box that keeps them safe, even if it keeps them small. While that breaks my heart, I'm gonna respect that, right? And because of that, I've become much more observant. I am much less the butterfly in the room, the social butterfly, and I'm much more the wallflower. And that's a very intentional move, as I can definitely be a butterfly. And I wonder if the ability to be both is really what signals my considering myself to be an ambivert. And I used to consider myself to be really very extroverted. But the more and more that I have really just been reflective about my experiences with people and the way that I've shown up for people and the way that these people have in exchange shown up for me, I've learned that it's just better to observe first, to be informed in the way that you interact with the people around you, and not to navigate relationships based on the assumptions that you have about these people, based on the qualities, the gifts, the strengths, and just the potential that you see in people. Because a lot of people aren't ready to meet their own potential or to behave in alignment with the standard that you have of them, and that's okay, right? But then it can be a very disappointing experience. So I think it's better to level set and to just adjust your expectations and meet them where they want to be met. And I think this is the same for situations and for places. I have been and lived in a few different places this last year, and even those experiences have informed my worldview quite a lot, right? Like having the opportunity to meet so many different people from so many different parts of the world that I didn't meet before, right? So it's one thing to be raised in an environment where there was multiculturalism, but you're being sort of exposed to the same cultures. So you're kind of becoming adapted, you're becoming used to like all of the specific ways that the people in your multicultural setting show up. But when you go to like different parts of the world, like the mosaic of cultures are different, right? The beliefs that are kind of interchanging are very, very different, right? And so I find that multiculturalism in Canada is a very, very different look and feel than multicultural anywhere else that I've been in the world, whether that was in France, whether that's Portugal, whether that was in England. It translated differently. Everyone shows up differently because their beliefs are just informed by radically different experiences that I just do not and have not had the opportunity to relate to. So I like to think about that and how that just humbles me, right? Because I think sometimes we can get so confident about who we are in relation to others based on how our interactions with others inform our sense of selves. But when we're meeting people who have completely very different points of view than us, and it really shifts and changes the way we see ourselves when we look at ourselves from their lens, then we have to like be a little bit more cognizant of the fact that not everyone sees us the way that we are used to being seen in the past. And I think that that makes me feel just all the more reserved in the way that I show up. I want to learn, I want to understand before I speak. speak. I've learned that is just a true quality that I've developed that has safeguarded me from unnecessary harm, that has also enabled me to be the best version of myself, meeting new people and wanting to be open and receptive to the difference that they bring in the room. So I think that places and situations have brought that about by way of my understanding of people. And that has shifted and changed my sense of self-concept, because my sense of self-concept used to be extroverted, want to meet everyone, want to greet everyone, want to be friends or build relationship with everyone. Like I used to be the person where my goal was to make sure that anyone who met me, they had a lasting impression. And I couldn't control whether that was a positive or a negative impression, but they were not going to forget me. And now, honestly, I have to say that probably stemmed from a place of deep immaturity. I'm happy to meet people and them not have a real impression of who I am right out of the gate. Like I don't need to be all of my personality all at once to everyone that I meet. And a lot of people, because I do have a big personality and because I do have a strong personality, I'm okay to keep a lid on it. I'm okay to keep a lid on it until I feel comfortable to really show up and to show out. And I think that agility or that nimbleness or that capacity to decide to show up differently and to kind of hold back a little bit of my personality, I think that's what makes me an ambivert. I think I'm a perfect combination of introverted and extroverted, and I even did the Myers-Briggs and I was like straight down the middle. One point towards introversion, which I understand fully now, but even more, I think that like as I get older, as I get wiser, the need to be more to myself, my social battery is just much more selective. And that's the best way to put it. My social battery is much more selective. Not everyone I want to give access to me, and I have much more, I think, peace in just being in my own energy, working on my goals, working on my dreams, and working towards the things that mean the most to me, right? Whether that's my career, whether that's personal relationships, whether that's my long-term goals, so on and so forth. So I think this exercise on self-concept, understanding yourself, framing yourself based on the people, places, and situations that you've navigated, that you've interacted with this year, and having a sense as to how your beliefs have shifted and changed, how your worldview has shifted and changed. And if you feel like there's some bitterness and resentment there, then how can you pivot away from that so that you're always changing for the better for yourself and not for the worse? Like how do you, in this exercise, as you cultivate a real functioning understanding or a working definition of your sense of self, decide, well, how can I make sure that the ways that I see myself shifting and changing is in alignment with the best version of myself? And also to that same effect, how do I let go of what doesn't serve me? Now that I see all of the lessons that I've extracted from the good, the bad, and the ugly, like how do I now make sure that when I build out my resolutions for 2024, I let go of the energy that does not serve me? So all the pains, all the hurts that came with the great lessons, right? That you still extracted value from that. How do I do away with the pain and the hurt, let go of that energy, let go, let flow, and move on lighter, brighter, and wiser? In any case, that is the topic for today. Hopefully it was insightful. Hopefully you do the exercise, and this is like an exercise that I do over several weeks. I don't try to really, do a deep dive all in one day. It takes a lot of reflection and introspection, and I don't try to force it by any means, but usually I'm done by the end of October, and I take a couple of weeks, like maybe a week and a half at most, to really build out what this year has taught me about the world, about myself, about people, so on and so forth. In any case, that was it, but definitely not all. Now, before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page. So definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events, so if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to webinars and workshops largely focused on self-mastery over and above those events. So check it out, be part of our game changer community, being part of the change that you want to see, allowing us a small role to play in your journey. We are on the road to 1K, so we do invite you to follow us across all of our social media platforms, and we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later.